Howdy folks, welcome back to another Bad 66 Chevelle video here, and we're going to reinstall this heater box here. And I had to retrofit a little bigger style heater core, but that ain't no big deal. But we're going to get this thing wrapped on up here and get some heat back in this truck. So anyway, this is our old heater core here. This is our old, and as you can see, it was leaking right at the bottom here. It froze during the winter and busted. But anyway, I could probably go in there and resolder that back up. I will save this heater core just for that reason. But anyway, we got our new one here, and I'll put them side by side here. Flip it the other way. So anyway, you can see a little difference in them. This one's aluminum core. Unfortunately, everything's aluminum nowadays. But anyway, but you can see this one's just a tad longer than the other one. And we'll have to retrofit that in there. It's just a little bit longer. This is what they call the heavier duty heater core. It's supposed to have more heating capacity, supposedly. But I don't know, we'll find out. I don't think it's going to be any different. But anyway, everything else looks the same. But if you were to stand them up side by side here, if I can do this, well, maybe that'll demonstrate. There we go. That'll demonstrate a little better. But our part number for that one appears to be 9010046. And anyway, it's our part number, and we'll get this installed here. I had to test fit a little bit off camera, but I had to go in here and cut this piece out. This piece is for that smaller heater core, and that's what held it in place. But so I had to go in here and cut this piece out by hand with the hacksaw blade. I just took a old hacksaw blade and kind of 90-degreed it to get it in there so I could cut that out. You want to cut this as flush as you can at the bottom here. So make sure you cut that flush. That way when you put your heater core in, it'll sit nice and flush. And I accidentally punched a little hole in it by accident, because I was trying to tap this out a little bit, and because this heater core was not flush on the outside. It was actually pushed in a little bit. I don't know if somebody took their boot one time and kicked it when I was underneath the dash or whatever. But anyway, I tried to push it back out a little bit, and anyway, I ended up punching through it. But I'll get a little fiberglass and fix that. That's all this thing is anyway. It looks like it's just fiberglass. I got the other piece right there, but so we'll fix that. Ain't no problem. So don't do like I did, and I had to go back and cut just a little smaller piece out to get this flush. And I think the easier way to do it actually would be to cut this little section out and then just refiberglass a flat piece back in, and you could paint it and nobody would ever know. But that way it would eliminate this little edge here, because it's still a little bit above it. But you could cut that little section out if you really want it and just refix that, and then nobody would ever know. But that's the only downfall about it. I could not find the one that was the same size as that. I was trying to find one the same size, and I kept looking and looking. I could not find one. I'm sure they make one out there somewhere. But anyway, but we're going to sit this on in here and get this fit in place here. So this heater core, this one had the piece of foam here, I believe. How was it? I think it was, can't quite remember. Yeah, it's like this. This one had a little piece of foam like that, so we'll just stick it on the new one here the same way. There we go. So we'll pull that off there, stick this one on here just like so. Yeah, it'll fit close enough. And we'll grab this heater core and just slide it on in here, just like this. push that bad boy on down. There we go. There we go. And then it comes with new strips of foam to put around this thing to seal it up, so we'll do that. Oh, honestly, I mean, you could probably just take a bead of that, get a tube of that weather sealant for like around your windshield. You could, honestly, you could probably just put a little tiny bead around that. I mean, it's once you put that on there, you can put a little bead of that. I mean, it'll seal up just fine anyway. But we'll cut a little strip out and put that on there. It'll come with it just for the hell of it anyway. But let me grab that and we'll do that. Alright, so I cut this. It comes with a roll of foam here, and I cut that out and put it on the back here as good as I could. I could do a lot better trimming it, but that's alright. You won't see any of this. All this does is help seals the heater box up real good, so that way you get the most efficient heat as possible, because you don't want when it's running with that blower motor, you don't want it to be blowing heat between the cover there and this heater box. That way you'll be losing heat that way, and the truck won't be as warm. So I did that as best as I could. Got our new heater core installed here, and we'll flip this piece over, and I'll set that on top just like this, and we'll get our 4 screws, and they are 5/16, and we'll go ahead and secure this cover back in place, and we will be good to go. Alright, so I got our cover back on our heater box here, and went ahead and stuck our foam piece back on, and we're pretty much ready to go. Got a good tight seal on there, so shouldn't lose any heat, hopefully. Didn't trim it out the best, but you know, it is what it is. You won't see it. But anyway, we're ready now to get this heater box back up underneath our dash there and get this thing reinstalled. Alright, so I got our heater box just about all the way in. I'm going to grab one of the 3 7/16 nuts and go ahead and install that on. Not all the way, just thread it so our heater box does not plop back out. So we'll get that nut on there, and then you want to be really careful. Got wires on this blower motor, so we'll pull them through first, and then we'll work our way up, because we just about got it. You want to be very careful with this. So we'll put our nut on there next, and then we'll fish them wires through and get the other 2 nuts on, and then we'll be good to go. Alright, so I grabbed the nut here. Well, I had to push the heater box in just a little bit more. We'll go ahead and get that on. What that will do is keep the heater box from falling back and having to fight it. But you want to be very careful. Do not screw up these heater core inlet and outlet tubes here. Just be very gentle. Don't force anything, and you'll be good to go. So I got the other 2 in here. I've got our wires fished through. We took our time with this, and it was a good time to go ahead and replace your heater blower motor, but mine is fine. I tested it. It blows fine. I went ahead and cleaned out all the leaves and garbage out of this heater box while it was out. And I went ahead and cleaned out the kick panel inside the door, which was full of dirt and everything else. And got all that good stuff cleaned out. And some people call it a squirrel cage. But the blower motor, actual fan on it, we made sure and cleaned all that out. And anyway, we wouldn't get trash blowing around in here. But we got everything pretty good. And actually, this truck, I don't know why people think it's so horrible. This truck is actually very easy. You have 3 7/16 nuts there behind the firewall. There we go. Got one there, and you got 2 holding the heater core, and then undo that 1 ground wire right there, and your 2 heater hoses, and take that cover off. You got 5 screws holding this little cover on right here, you have to take that off so you can lean the heater box back and get enough clearance to lean it back and then pull it down, basically. So you gotta lean it back and then pull it down. But because there's not a lot of space up underneath this dash here. But other than that, I mean, it's very easy. And I'll have to probably play with these switches, not really switches, but the heater controls here. I'll have to kind of readjust them, get them fine-tuned a little bit. But it's only 2 of them. We got one here and then another one up here. We'll have to fish back down because we got one that mounts right here, that mounts on there, and then you got another one that's down here that mounts up in that location. So we'll have to play with that a little bit. And then this is to a resistor. But it's really not that much to it. Really not. Then we'll reinstall our glove box liner. We'll probably order a new one before I put the old one back in there. I ain't gonna put the old one in there. I'm gonna actually order a new one. Why not? It's already out. Save a little trouble. You don't have to take the glove box door off. I didn't. And I went to O'Reilly's and I was gonna see if it was cheaper to buy this by the foot versus buying it by the 2 bags here we got. And I ended up as $1.75, I believe, a foot is what they wanted. And then this was $1.10, something like that. So it ended up, however it was, it ended up being cheaper just to buy it this way. So I just bought it this way. But we won't use all this, but they're 6 foot long a piece. They're both 5/8. And so we bought new heater hoses. A lot of times you want to do that to dry rot it or anything like that. I had to buy them because this truck, again, caught on fire and it pretty much ruined them. So that's another job right there. There we go. But it charcoaled them up, so I had to replace them anyway. And on the final video I make of this thing, I'll show it working, and I'm going to show y'all the correct way to get these heater hoses hooked up correctly. The one on the bottom is supposed to be from the water pump. Where is it at? Okay, it's from the water pump right here. This inlet, this outlet here that's on this water pump will go into this bottom one of this heater cord right there. Then, because the way you want it, it goes in and then flushes it out through the top. It pushes all the air out of it. You don't want it to go the other way. So the one down here on this water pump, this one will come through here. It'll route right up and it will connect to right here. And as the coolant flows through the heater core, it'll flow up and then come out this top one here. And this top one will come right around into your intake. So that's what I found online, and that's the correct way I've seen how to do that. Now, if I'm wrong, somebody leave a comment, but that's the correct way I've seen that. Because I always wondered about that. I could never figure that out for anything, and I'm not sure if I even have it correct on my Etzel, to be honest. But this will be another project too, and I actually probably end up using the exact same heater core for this Etzel here. I could not find hardly no information even on a 59 Galaxy at all online, because this car needs a heater core pretty bad too. It steams up the windows. Almost all my vehicles got some kind of heating issue, so I'm trying to straighten them out. My C10 was an air conditioning truck, and it's missing some pieces, and some of them are broken up, so I might have to figure that out. I might end up pulling that heater box out, and I kind of like the design of that heater box, like on this f-150 here. I may end up going to a salvage yard, finding a non-AC truck, and retrofitting maybe the f-150 heater box into that C10, because it's actually just very easy to work on. And that heater core was $37 to put that in, so it wasn't bad at all. But anyway, at least we'll have some heat in this truck. Now, that's one thing I love about this truck too, is it's a non-AC truck, and I'm so proud of that. I'm really glad, because I hate having all that air conditioning junk on it. Don't get me wrong, I like it if it works, but it's just more clutter, and it makes it harder to work on, I think. And once the stuff starts going bad, then it's just useless. So, old vehicle wise, I'd rather not have air conditioning. That's just my personal opinion. My C10, that's what's wrong with that. It's got all that extra air conditioning stuff, and some of it's all broken up and missing parts, and you know, by the time to truthfully repair it the right way, you're gonna have, you know, more money than what it's worth. But anyway, this will be the last video here before I'll make the final video actually. But I hope that helps a little bit. So if you got an F-150, just get you a heater core and get everything gathered up, and we'll hook these hoses up here, and that's the correct way on how to do it. The one from your water pump goes on the one on the bottom, and then the top tube right here goes to your intake. So that's the best way to do it. This comes from your water pump, intake, water pump, intake. Just remember that. Now if I'm wrong on that, somebody let me know, but that would make more sense because it's actually flushing all the air out that way. So it's going from the bottom and coming out the top. And the way this block and this motor cools off is it cools, the way the coolant flows on this thing, pretty much just about anything, old wise anyway, unless it's got a reverse flow water pump. But it cools off the block, flows this way, goes through the water pump, cools the block off, then comes up through the heads, flows this way, and comes up through this radiator hose, and then flows down and cools off. So it cools the block off first, and then cools the heads off last. And that's kind of the way that heater core works. It goes in through that bottom tube there, and then it goes through the heater core, cycles through, and then comes up through that top tube right there, and goes into the intake, which is located right there. So anyway, I hope this thing helps here. I'm gonna put these heater hoses on here and get all this thing wrapped up here, and then hopefully our next step here, we'll swap these valve covers out and get the correct PCV hooked back up here and get our valve in here, and we'll have to change oil yet, and I had to put my antique license plates on here because I finally got it changed over, so we officially got antique tags on this now, so that'll make it so much easier. And I still got a lot of work. We got to put a windshield on this thing. It's got a crack in it here, but I'm just trying to get this thing functional and get it a little bit straightened out. I got to do the front brakes on it. They work, but I got all the calipers and I got everything to replace all that. Then the back is completely redone. It's got all new wheel bearings, new wheel seals, and brake shoes, all the springs, the hardware. I mean, everything on the back has been completely redone. I put a new master cylinder on the front of it. Eventually I'm gonna replace that brake booster because of the fire, in case it got hot. But I still got to change this power steering pump and the water pump. Mainly the water pump, just for peace of mind. And power steering pump, that had nothing to do with fire. It's mainly because it leaks. And hopefully be straightened out. Eventually I'm gonna find another motor for it and put another motor in it, because this motor, you know, I kind of put a band-aid on it, we'll call it. I pulled the heads off, put new valve stem seals in it, and put head gaskets on it. And I got a pile of videos on that. Just go back to my videos there and look at it. And eventually I'm gonna have to put another motor in it, because this motor, I mean, it's all right for now, but it's seen its days. I kind of put a band-aid on it. I just want to get it running and at least get water, so it ain't water mold no more, thank God. But anyway, hope y'all enjoyed the video series here, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check this next video out here of this heater core working. Thank you.